Hello and welcome to another episode of Richard's Comics. Today I'd like to go over the latest comic haul that I have. So let's start from the beginning. First up, Alien #1. This is the recently relaunched version. This corresponds with Predator #1 that just came out. So the previous series ran for about 10 issues and had an annual. It was pretty good. And this is the new volume. As you can see, this alien is tearing up one of the synthetics, like Bishop from Aliens movie. Next book. This is Amazing Fantasy #1000. This is the main cover. I believe it's John Romita Jr. So this is in celebration of the Spider-Man 60th anniversary. Next book. This is Amazing Spider-Man #64. This is from 1968. This is the return of Adrian Toomes, who's the Vulture. Next book. This is Amazing Spider-Man #175. This guest stars the Punisher and the antagonist. His name is Hitman. I actually already had this book with the Whitman reprint. This is actually the first print that came directly from Marvel versus the Whitman reprint. Next up, Avengers West Coast #102. It's a good classic cover with U.S. Agent trying to go after Captain America, Steve Rogers. You can see Tony Stark, Iron Man, is trying to restrain him. So this is the last issue of this volume of Avengers West Coast. It was later relaunched as Force Works. Next up, Avengers West Coast, annual #8. Pretty good War Machine cover. So this was published in 1993. These were all polybagged, and they featured the first appearance of a new villain or sometimes a hero. A lot of these also came with a trading card as well. Next issue, Batman #127. This continues the Failsafe story arc. This has been a very entertaining story. I believe Chip Zdarsky is the author, a writer for this book. Really looking forward to this issue. Next up, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths #4. So issues 1 through 3 are called Dark Crisis, but issues 4 through 7 are going to be called Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think DC is doing this as kind of a marketing gimmick to try and capitalize on Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was one of the most popular stories back in the mid-1980s. Next issue, DC vs. Vampires All Out War #2 of 6. This is the companion series to the main DC vs. Vampires. It's pretty good so far. So this is kind of, what are some of the other backup heroes and villains? What are they up to during the main DC vs. Vampires? So I've been really happy with this one so far. Next issue. This is Detective Comics #27, the facsimile edition. I have various reprints of this comic book, but not an actual facsimile of Detective Comics 27. As we all know, this is the first appearance of Bruce Wayne Batman. Came out in 1939. So even though it's a facsimile, it's just a classic cover, and I'm really happy to have this book. Next issue. This is a story called 8 Billion Genies #1. This is the third print. This book has been getting a lot of popularity. A lot of people are really interested in this book, but the basic premise being everyone on Earth gets a genie that starts granting wishes, and as you can imagine, it gets pretty chaotic pretty quickly. I'll give this book a shot, and if I like it, I'll pick up some more issues. Next book, Flash #785. Kind of the search for Barry Allen continues. You can see Wally West and some of the other speedsters. This is a companion series to Dark Crisis. It's actually, in my opinion, it's better than the main Dark Crisis book. Just a really good Flash story. Next issue, Flashpoint Beyond #5 of 6, where we revisit the Flashpoint universe. As most of us know, this is Thomas Wayne in the world where Bruce was actually killed and Thomas became Batman and Martha became the Joker. So it's nice to revisit this Flashpoint universe. Next issue. This is Green Lantern #32. And this is the volume of Green Lantern that was relaunched after Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's a nice Hal Jordan story. Really, I got this book because I like the cover of the Green Lantern hand and ring grabbing on and slowly being sucked into the void. So again, it's a nice Hal Jordan. This is a few years before he became Parallax. Next issue, this is Marvel Tales number 274. As probably a lot of you are aware, Marvel Tales is a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man. So this was a later volume that came out in the early 90s. You can see it's got a nice Hobgoblin cover. So I actually have the original issue of this. I think it's Amazing Spider-Man about 264. But I haven't read it in a long time, so I'm looking forward to revisiting this classic tale. Next up, another Marvel Tales, issue number 278. And again, just like previously, I actually do have this, the original Amazing Spider-Man, but it's nice to revisit these stories. And then actually, believe it or not, the paper quality of these books is actually a little bit better than the original books that came out in the 1980s, for example, on this one. So again, Marvel Tales. Next issue, Quasar, number 25. He's not as popular as Guardians of the Galaxy, but he exists pretty much at the same universe. Quasar at this time, he was very important. He interacted with the Silver Surfer, with the Guardians. They helped go against bad guys like Thanos that we all know from the movies. And in this issue, number 25, this is kind of the conclusion to the overall narrative that had been going on for about the last 2 years in Quasar. Next issue, this is Spawn, number 333. This continues where basically everybody is out to get Spawn. Heaven and hell are go after him. The Green is after him. Spawn has closed the dead zones on Earth, so they're no longer free to travel between Earth and Heaven and hell or the Green. So basically, it's everybody out to get Spawn. Been a really good story going on for the last probably 3 or 4 years at least. And the other good thing about Spawn is it's only $2.99, which I wish the other books would also go back to that price point. Next up, Spider-Man 2099 Exodus. This is the Omega, so this is the final chapter. And as you can see, this has the first, well, it's not actually the first appearance. This is the first iteration of this version of Green Goblin 2099. They did have a previous Green Goblin in the first volume of Spider-Man 2009, written by Peter David back in about 95, I believe. So, and again, this is actually, my understanding is this is Norman Osborn, who is still alive somehow, and he is up to no good as usual. So anyway, it's Miguel O'Hara versus Norman Osborn. Next issue, this is straight up a cover by. This is Star Wars number 63. This is from 1982, so it actually came out before Return of the Jedi. Really good cover here with both Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. So this is straight up a cover by. I don't have a ton of Volume 1 of Star Wars, but they have some wonderful covers. Next issue, this is the current version of Star Wars, number 27. Nice Luke Skywalker cover. The current volume of Star Wars has been kind of hit or miss in my opinion. It really focuses more on, seems to focus a lot more on Leia, not as much on Luke and Darth Vader. So I really would prefer if they focus back on, well, let's be honest, some of the Force users, some of the Jedi versus Sith. That's really kind of the classic part of Star Wars. Next up, Star Wars Obi-Wan number 4. This continues the tour of Obi-Wan's past. Next issue, this is Superman number 24 from 1989. And you can see he's going up the villain, I believe Rampage is her name. So this is the volume that came again right after Crisis on Infinite Earths. Next up, Superman Warworld Apocalypse number 1. This is the final chapter of the Warworld saga. This has been going on way too long in my opinion. It probably should have been about maybe 3 or 4 issues. Really anxious to get this Warworld saga over with and Superman to go back to Earth. Next issue. This is Twig number 5. It's a nice all ages tale. It's just a straight up very good adventure story. It's got very good art. The writing is good. It's got compelling characters. If you haven't read Twig yet, I would definitely check out Twig. It's kind of a mix of like Dark Crystal and almost an adventure like a hero's journey like Luke in Star Wars. But I would very much recommend that you check out Twig. getting towards the end. This is Final Impact, or Final Faction, First Impact. So this is actually from the Dollar Tree. They have a whole series of toys and comics and other multimedia. And it basically has to do with the story where Earth, it's the year 2050, and an asteroid strikes the moon, and it awakens these aliens that more or less are trying to take over and harvest Earth's materials. This Final Faction, they're the ones that actually are trying to stop them. It looked very interesting to me. It was only $1. So it's a nice kind of throwback to the way comics used to be about 30 years ago. Well, that's the last issue I wanted to go through. Appreciate your time, and you all have a good day. Bye-bye.
Oh, and also we're sorry for not uploading in a little bit.